Marvel Cinematic Universe is a rich and complex story world that has been flowering over the past 10 years, and it's much more than its characters. The world in which they live, and regular non-powered humans live, is filled with businesses and corporations, some of which we share in reality, like Baskin-Robbins, and others that are much more fictional, like Stark Industries, Eugen, and Rand Enterprises. But in addition to that, there are also a lot of evil corporations out there, ones that don't necessarily have the best of intentions, and ones that are definitely not on the rest of humanity's side. So today we're taking a look at some of these larger companies that many a familiar bad businessman or woman from the MCU belong to, with our list of the top 10 evil MCU corporations. At number 10, Vista Corp. Vista Corp was first introduced to us in Ant-Man's debut film. It was the company that Scott Lang worked for after he decided to set his criminal life aside in order to be there for his wife and daughter Cassie. But upon working there, Scott realized that Vista Corp, a company specializing in security systems, was overcharging their customers. Thinking it was just a coding error, he fixed it. But much to his surprise, Jeff Zorich, the CEO of the company, ordered him to reverse the change. This is when he realized that Vista Corp were intentionally profiting off of people. Not down with that, Scott broke into the company's headquarters, hacked their system, and paid back all of their customers. Then he got a tad carried away and broke into Zorich's mansion and drove his car into a pool, because I mean, like, why not? This is what landed Scott in prison, but it's also what caught the attention of Hank Pym, which would work out in Scott's favor after he was released. Moving on to number 9, Anvil. Anvil was founded by Billy Russo and operates as a private military firm that aims to provide both military and security services. While Anvil isn't necessarily the most evil company on the list, they are in the business of killing. We first meet the company and Russo in the Punisher's Netflix series, and they eventually come in conflict with Frank Castle with the intention of assassinating him. So yeah, probably not super good. Anvil isn't afraid to sink low and use dirty tactics to get what they want. During a prisoner transfer, they used punctured gas canisters on Zach and Sarah Lieberman as a means of trying to keep Frank Castle in check. In addition to this, Russo also participated in torture, which was caught on camera. Russo would later blow up the Anvil HQ after it was raided by the DHS in an attempt to capture him, and he was eventually caught after facing off against the Punisher. The fate of his company was never mentioned. Up next, number 8, Roxon. The Roxon oil company hasn't been nearly as evil in the MCU as it has in the comics. They were actually the ones responsible for Howard Stark's death. But it's definitely pushing some boundaries in the movies. Founded by Hugh Jones, a member of the Council of Nine, the company has always had some nefarious ties. Aside from, destroying the planet with a fictional Exxon, because oil. The Council of Nine, who first appeared in the Agent Carter television series, are a group of powerful businessmen and politicians who seek power, wealth, and control, all by manipulating the American economy in their favor, and have been responsible for the assassination of a president and the stock market crash of 1929, which led to the Great Depression. So overall, not too great. As the MCU moves forward, it seems quite likely that we'll see more of Roxon at some point, considering its shady past in the panels. Plus, it's real darn easy to villainize an oil company. Just saying. Up next at 7, the Thanos Group. Leaving Earth for this number, let's take a look at one of the most notorious intergalactic corporations in the galactical criminal underworld, the Thanos Group. Led by the Collector, the Thanos Group's headquarters are located on Exitar in Nowhere. It's the corporation that set up the mining colony within the severed head of a celestial, which is now known as Nowhere. The group, which has considerable amount of wealth, is often responsible for being the source of exponential contributions to various criminals in the galaxy. While not much other than that has been depicted of the Thanos Group in the MCU, the chances of it reappearing, especially if the Collector is still alive after encountering Thanos, are pretty likely. In our number 6 spot, Nemo. Nemo is one of the corporations that appears in Marvel's Runaway series. It's an American automaker and space transport manufacturing company founded by Victor Stein, the father of Chase Stein, who is an expert engineer despite his young age. Victor, also an expert engineer, is the mind behind the company, having been responsible for a series of innovations, from the Nemo Leapfrog, a self-driving SUV, to the drill that was used on the Pride construction site. Based partially on Tesla and SpaceX, it receives resources from a mysterious man named Jonah, who is basically the devil, all in order for them to fulfill his own agenda. Nemo supplies specialized technical skills to Jonah and his organization, which is our next number. Up next at number 5, Pride. Pride stands for Promoting Resilience, Independence, Dedication, and Excellence. And to the public, it's marketed as a Los Angeles-based charity organization. In actuality, it's a group of powerful individuals led by Jonah, their benefactor, and is tied to the ceremonial sacrifices of the Church of Gibborim, which helps restore Jonah at the beginning of the show. So yeah, pretty bad. The other corporations associated with Pride include Synergy, Wizard, and Jeffrey Wilder Construction Inc., all of who, along with Nemo, receive a vast amount of resources from Jonah. Pride often takes advantage of its members too. For example, Pride once told its members that they would be digging out a source of clean and renewable energy, when really, it was just an attempt for Jonah to reach a mysterious creature living beneath the surface. Up next, number 4, Cybertek. As much as we would have liked to put Hydra on this list, they're more of an authoritarian terrorist criminal paramilitary organization than a corporation. But Hydra does have have many a corporation it calls on when in need of various services, including the likes of Cybertek. Seen in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and mentioned in the Daredevil Netflix series, Cybertek is a tech company that developed Project Deathlock for Hydra back in 1990. It was one of their attempts to create super soldiers. John Garrett, who was a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent turned Hydra agent, was the first test subject of Project Deathlock, which by 2014 was slowly killing him, and his biomechanical parts were the only things keeping him alive. He was eventually apprehended by Coulson's team at S.H.I.E.L.D. Now in the comics, Cybertek is also responsible for the Deathlock project, which produced the third Deathlock character, Michael Collins. They were also an offshoot of the Roxon oil company. Moving on to number 3, Cross Technologies. Another corporation to originate in Ant-Man, Cross Technologies was Darren Cross's attempt at rebranding Pym Technologies and taking over the company as his own. Cross, who was a little bit of a psycho, was obsessed with replicating Pym particles, and because of this, started becoming increasingly unhinged, which may have been a result of his shrinking experiments having altered his mind chemistry. Maybe. His goal was to weaponize the Pym particles, which eventually led to crafting the Yellow Jacket suit, which he planned on selling to military and other organizations, including the likes of the Ten Rings and Hydra. In the film, we see Hydra outbidding their competition, and Cross almost ends up handing over the technology to them, but is luckily stopped when Hank Pym's heist via Scott Lang and his daughter Hope causes them to come into conflict, and results in a battle between Cross as Yellow Jacket and Lang as Ant-Man. These days, since Cross had a slew of illegal actions under his belt and is also dead, Cross Technologies has been reverted to Pym Technologies. Moving on to number 2, Hammer Industries. First introduced into the MCU in Iron Man 2, Hammer Industries is a company owned by Justin Hammer, and is a direct competitor with Stark Industries. As a weapons manufacturer, they tried to get the upper hand on the Iron Man technology in order to sell it to the government, taking advantage of Tony Stark's desire to step out of the weapons industry and focus on technology that helped aid the human race rather than help destroy it. In Iron Man 2, we see Justin Hammer pull Ivan Vanko out of prison to help him improve upon the suits Hammer was developing, and employ to upstage Stark at the upcoming Stark Expo. Vanko, a Russian physicist, was the son of a scientist who had aided Howard Stark in designing the arc reactor, which is an essential component in the Iron Man suit. And if you've seen Iron Man 2, you probably know how well that all worked out for Justin Hammer. But now he has a prison boyfriend, so I guess it's okay. That's not the only time that Hammer Industries has been up to no good. After the Battle of New York, the company recovered Chitauri metal in order to create special bullets capable of harming enhanced individuals, as seen in Luke Cage, along with other enhanced weapons that we also see in the same series. All that being said, Hammer hasn't fully flourished into the evil corporation we know it as in the comics. But with Justin Hammer still kicking around in the MCU in a prison, it wouldn't be surprising if the antagonists were to return somewhere down the line and give future members of the Avengers a hard time. And finally, in at number 1, a.i.m. With the exception of Hydra, a.i.m. is the most deadly organization we've seen in the MCU to date. Advanced Idea Mechanics is a scientific research and development agency founded by Aldrich Killian and funded by the US government. Initially, it was a privately funded think tank, but after 1999, when failing to recruit Tony Stark, as seen in Iron Man 3, Killian then employed scientist Maya Hansen to further develop her extremist technology, a form of gene therapy designed to regenerate damaged tissue and regrow severed limbs. But this wasn't the only thing that Killian was up to. Over the years, his intentions became pretty murky, using those who received the extremist treatment as soldiers and personal assassins. This eventually climaxed with his creation of the Mandarin, an actor posing as the leader to terrorist group the Ten Rings, claiming responsibility for the bombings that were really just extremist experiments gone wrong. The test subjects' bodies would explode upon rejecting the treatment. Killian went as far as trying to kill the US president in order to have him replaced with the vice president, whom he would be manipulating in exchange for healing his daughter. Of course, his plan was thwarted by Tony Stark and James Rhodes, with Pepper Potts ultimately being the one who kills Killian. Since, we don't know if a.i.m. has been shut down since Killian's death, but it wouldn't be surprising that with access to the kinds of technology that Killian and a.i.m. were boasting at the start of Iron Man 3, that someone somewhere would have taken over. Whether they are as bad as Killian, though, is a question we probably won't see answered for some time. Alright, there we have it, friends. Which one of these corporations do you personally think is the most evil? And what other corporations or companies from the comics do you hope will make an appearance in the MCU? I'd love to hear your thoughts, so give us a shout in the comments below. If you dug this video, hit that like button, and be sure to stick around with us some more by hitting that subscribe button. We got a ton of lists, theory videos, and much more just waiting for you on our channel. In the meantime, thanks for watching, everybody. I'll catch you all in the next video.